If you crave salt or sugar, it's easy to assume you just lack willpower. But cravings are often your body's way of sending a signal. Sometimes that signal is about habits and stress. Sometimes it's about sleep. And sometimes it's about nutrition, specific deficiencies or imbalances that make certain foods feel unusually urgent. The goal isn't to label every craving as a deficiency. It's to understand the most common patterns so you can respond in a smarter way. When you know what to check, you can test simple fixes first, like hydration, minerals, protein, and meal timing, before you spiral into guilt. In the next few minutes, you'll learn why salt cravings can show up with fluid and electrolyte issues, why sugar cravings often follow blood sugar dips, and which nutrients are commonly involved. You'll also get practical, food-based ways to experiment safely. Think of this as a troubleshooting guide. You're not broken, you're collecting clues, then making small adjustments that actually match what your body is asking for. Moving to slide 2. Let's separate salt cravings from sugar cravings, because they usually come from different triggers. Salt cravings often point to fluid balance. That includes dehydration, sweating, and electrolyte loss. Sugar cravings more often point to energy regulation, blood sugar swings, low-protein meals, or long gaps between meals. Here's a useful question. When the craving hits, what happens if you drink water and eat something balanced? If the craving fades, it may have been a basic fuel or hydration issue. If it stays intense, it could be a stronger pattern, like chronic undereating, high stress hormones, or a nutrient shortfall. Also notice timing. Salt cravings after workouts, hot days, or sauna use make sense. Sugar cravings in the mid-afternoon or late evening often track with blood sugar dips and fatigue. And one more nuance. Some people crave salty crunch, like chips. That can be salt, but it can also be texture, dopamine, and habit. We'll keep both biology and behavior in the picture. Moving to slide 3. The most overlooked driver of salt cravings is simple dehydration. When you're low on fluids, your blood volume can drop slightly. Your body tries to protect circulation and balance. One way it does that is by pushing you towards sodium, because sodium helps you retain water. This is why salt cravings can spike after heavy sweating, endurance exercise, or even a long day of talking and coffee drinking. Caffeine can increase fluid loss for some people, especially if you're not used to it. Alcohol can do the same. A practical experiment is to separate thirst from salt need. First, drink a full glass of water. Wait 10 minutes. If you still want something salty, try a food that brings both sodium and potassium, like soup with vegetables or yogurt with a pinch of salt and fruit. If you have high blood pressure, kidney disease, or you're on a sodium-restricted plan, don't treat this as a green light to add lots of salt. Moving to slide 4. Now let's talk electrolytes, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium. These minerals help regulate nerve signals, muscle contraction, and fluid balance. When you lose a lot of sweat, you lose sodium. If you also eat very little potassium-rich food, your body can feel off, and salty foods may feel unusually satisfying. Potassium is found in foods like potatoes, beans, lentils, yogurt, bananas, and leafy greens. Many people don't get much. That doesn't mean you should take high-dose potassium supplements on your own, because they can be risky in certain medical situations. Food is the safer place to start. Magnesium is another common gap. Low magnesium status is associated with fatigue, muscle cramps, and sometimes stronger cravings, especially when stress is high. Magnesium-rich foods include pumpkin seeds, nuts, cocoa, beans, and whole grains. If your salt cravings show up with headaches, cramps, or heavy sweating, think electrolyte balance, not just, I want chips. Moving to slide 5. A less obvious cause of salt cravings is consistently low carbohydrate intake. When you reduce carbs sharply, your body releases less insulin. That sounds good, but insulin also helps the kidneys retain sodium. So with low insulin, you may lose more sodium and water in urine. That's why some people feel lightheaded, tired, or flat on very low-carb diets. And it's why salty foods suddenly taste amazing. In this case, the craving isn't random. It's your body trying to restore fluid volume. If this sounds like you don't necessarily need to abandon your diet. You might simply need to be more intentional about electrolytes. Broth, soups, salted meals, and potassium-rich foods can help. But watch the bigger picture. If you're also experiencing constipation, poor sleep, or intense sugar cravings later, your overall energy intake might be too low. Chronic underfueling can create a rebound effect that feels like no control when it's actually biology. Moving to slide 6. Let's shift to sugar cravings. One of the biggest drivers is a blood sugar dip after a meal that was heavy on refined carbs and light on protein, fiber, or fat. You get a quick rise in blood sugar, then insulin brings it down. Sometimes it comes down fast, and your brain reads that as an emergency. That's when you feel shaky, irritable, or suddenly obsessed with sweets. It's not a moral failure. It's a predictable response to a certain meal pattern. A simple fix is to build craving-proof meals. Start with protein. Add fiber-rich carbs like beans, oats, or fruit. Add healthy fats like olive oil, nuts, or eggs. That combination slows digestion and tends to smooth the curve. Also consider timing. If you regularly go 5 or 6 hours without eating, then grab a sweet snack, you're training your body into a roller coaster. More consistent meals can reduce the intensity of cravings within days for many people. Moving to slide 7. One deficiency that's really common is simply not eating enough protein. Protein supports satiety hormones and helps stabilize blood sugar after meals. When protein is low, your brain keeps scanning for quick energy, and sugar is the fastest option. Many people think they're eating enough because they have some protein at dinner, but breakfast and lunch are often light: coffee, a pastry, maybe a salad with very little protein. Then the afternoon craving hits like a wall. A practical target is to include a clear protein source at each meal. That could be eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, fish, chicken, tofu, tempeh, beans, or lentils. If you snack, pair carbs with protein. Think apple plus peanut butter or crackers plus cheese. This isn't about high-protein extremes. It's about adequacy and consistency. When your baseline protein improves, many people notice that sweets become a choice again, not a compulsion. Moving to slide 8. Now let's talk micronutrients that can be connected to sugar cravings. Magnesium is the big one. It's involved in hundreds of enzyme reactions, including glucose metabolism. When magnesium intake is low, some people report stronger cravings for chocolate and sweets. Chromium is another nutrient often discussed. It plays a role in insulin signaling. The evidence is mixed, and effects are usually modest. But if your diet is low in whole grains, broccoli, and protein foods, it may be part of the picture. Zinc also matters for taste, appetite regulation, and metabolism. Low zinc can show up as reduced taste and smell, poor wound healing, or frequent infections. It's found in meat, shellfish, dairy, pumpkin seeds, and legumes. The key idea is food quality. If your diet is mostly refined grains and added sugars, you can be overfed in calories but underfed in minerals. That combination tends to keep cravings loud. Moving to slide 9. Cravings aren't only about nutrients. Stress can create very real sugar and salt cravings through hormones, especially cortisol. When cortisol is higher, your body may push for quick energy. That often means sweets. For some people, it also means salty, crunchy foods. Here's why that matters. If your cravings show up on stressful days, the fix might not be another supplement. It might be a stress buffer that lowers the intensity of the signal. Even a 10-minute walk can shift appetite hormones and improve glucose handling. Sleep is the other big lever. When you sleep less, ghrelin tends to rise and leptin tends to fall. Translation: you feel hungrier and less satisfied. You also get more reward response to sugary foods. So if you're chasing cravings every night, check your sleep window first. Better sleep won't make nutrition irrelevant, but it makes nutrition easier to execute. Moving to slide 10, let's add gut and taste factors. If you regularly eat very sweet foods, your taste receptors adapt. Normal fruit can start to taste not sweet enough. That's not a character flaw. It's sensory conditioning. Your gut microbes also adapt to what you feed them. Studies suggest dietary patterns can shift microbial populations, and those shifts may influence appetite signals and cravings. The science is still developing, so we shouldn't oversell it, but the practical takeaway is solid. When you increase fiber and reduce added sugar, cravings often soften after a transition period. Try upgrading, not banning. Keep sweetness, but move it toward fruit, yogurt, oats, and dark chocolate. Add fiber with beans, lentils, vegetables, and chia. If cravings are paired with bloating, diarrhea, constipation, or reflux, that's another clue to investigate with a professional. Sometimes the craving is your body reacting to discomfort and seeking quick relief. Moving to slide 11. Now let's get very practical. Use a simple craving checklist. First, identify what you want: salt, sugar, or both. Second, check the basics: water, a balanced meal, and sleep debt. Third, look for the pattern. Is it after sweating, after a carb-heavy meal, or during stress? Then, run a 2-week experiment. Keep it small so you can stick with it. For salt cravings, add a hydration routine, include potassium-rich foods daily, and make sure meals are not ultra-low carb unless that's intentional and well-supported. For sugar cravings, anchor breakfast with protein, add fiber at lunch, and plan an afternoon snack that's protein plus carbs. Also set a sweet window, like dessert after dinner, so sweets are structured rather than impulsive. Track outcomes with 2 numbers: craving intensity from 1 to 10, and how often it happens. Moving to slide 12. There are also times when cravings deserve medical attention because they can be linked to underlying conditions. For example, intense salt craving can be associated with certain hormonal issues, like adrenal insufficiency, though that's not common. Frequent urination, extreme thirst, and strong sugar cravings can be a sign to screen for blood sugar problems. Iron deficiency can drive unusual cravings too, including cravings that aren't even food, like ice. That's called pica, and it's a strong reason to get labs. If cravings come with dizziness, fainting, heart palpitations, unexplained weight change, or persistent fatigue, don't just biohack it. Get evaluated. And if you have an eating disorder history, cravings can be tangled up with restriction and rebound. In that case, support from a qualified professional is especially important. Cravings are information. Sometimes they're simple. Moving to slide 13. Let's wrap this into a clear takeaway. Salt cravings often point to hydration and electrolyte balance, especially after sweat loss or low-carb shifts. Sugar cravings often point to blood sugar swings, low protein, stress, or sleep debt, and both can be amplified by low mineral intake from a highly processed diet. Your best first move is not discipline, it's diagnosis. Drink water, eat a balanced meal with protein, fiber, and healthy fat, then see what changes. If cravings keep repeating, run a focused 2-week experiment. Adjust one variable at a time. That's how you learn what your body responds to. If you want one simple rule, it's this: build meals that keep you steady and cravings get quieter. For a quick check-in, are your cravings more often salty or sweet? A or B? Leave A or B in the comments. And if you want more evidence-based nutrition breakdowns like this, subscribe. This information is not a substitute for medical advice.